All right, let's continue to explore. Now, what is coping? What is coping? First of all, let's see the authority figure of the field, Lazarus, say about coping. Coping is an effort to manage and overcome demands and critical events that pose a challenge, a threat, a harm, a loss, or benefit to a person. And coping has been used in a more narrow sense as a response required of an organism to adapt to adverse circumstances. Basically, how to deal with it. Just tell me one third, okay? Or as we say in Chinese, 一招鲜. If you won't forget about the worries, drink. If you want to have some good imaginations, drink. That's called one method to one problem, okay? Well, so that's coping, but it may not be necessarily helpful or healthy, but it's something that works at the moment. So the coping includes now self-regulated goal attainment strategies and personal growth as well. This is what coping means. Now, for coping, the first thing is the primary and secondary appraisal. The primary appraisal involves the perception that the event is a threat to one's personal goals or is demanding in any way. While the secondary appraisal involves the determination that one does or does not have the resources to cope with the event as threatening. And neuroticism is highly correlated with stress appraisal and stress reactivity. Now for university students, tell me what is the most stressful thing that you can think of? I bet you're probably going to say exam or any kind of exam. That would be enough for you to give the primary appraisal that this is serious. This is going to be challenging. I have to put a lot of time onto it. And for the secondary appraisal is that I'm not so well prepared. I often underperform during exams, so I better give a lot of preparation. But if you're a neurotic person, you'll be more anxious and more stressful. If you are a non-neurotic person, you'll be more relaxed. During the exam, you can maximize whatever you have remembered so far, rather than to blame yourself for having not prepared for the exam that well. Now, we look at a health model of how personality means for coping and appraisal. And we can see personality here. This is where it starts, okay? Now, whether being optimistic or pessimistic, when I look at an objective event capable of producing stress, like exam or term paper, or you have to do some other important exams like a postgraduate exam, 考研, right? Or IELTS test, 雅思, or TOEFL test, okay? And then appraisal of the events as threatening. If you're optimistic, you think it is stressful, but I can handle. If you're not so optimistic or pessimistic, think whatever I prepare, I'm not going to do well. You blame yourself, you curse yourself before you get into the exam. And then the coping responses be effectively aroused or not, or effectively coping or not. And then this could lead to healthy behaviors. You stay overnight, you become so exhausted that when you actually get to an exam, you become sick. If not, on exam day, you're really healthy, you're really excited. And then those could get into good or bad physiological condition, arousal. If in good condition, you're well prepared, you do well. Or otherwise, you get sick. You cannot go to exam. You defeat yourself. So this is how personality matters for the process. So in such a way, according to Lazarus and Folkman, coping are effortful and adaptational reactions and constantly changing cognitive and behavioral efforts to manage specific external or internal demands that are praised as taxing or exceeding the resources of the person. Now it tells about first is your effortful, motivational, intentional, adaptational. That means your adaptive, your eventful efforts to deal with something that you have to put a lot of time, efforts to prepare. That means you have to tax your efforts rather than you go to exam unprepared. You can do well. Well, if you're that self-confident or if you're that capable, exam is no big deal. Now, we continue to talk about coping. The coping strategies refers to specific efforts, both behavioral and psychological, that people employ to master or tolerate, reduce, or minimize stressful events. And there are three kinds of coping strategies that has been distinguished. First is the problem-focused coping. The strategies involve efforts to control or overcome stressful problems and to elevate stressful feelings. That's the problem-focused. The problem focused on problem, like an exam, right? You do exercise. You see Chinese will say 刷题. The second is emotion-focused coping. That means the strategies involve efforts to regulate emotional reactions to the stressful or potentially stressful events. Still part of the exam, you get anxious, and then you could not get into sleep, and you could not eat well, you could not sleep well. So you need to regulate emotion. You need to be mindful of your health. You need to take good rest to regulate your emotion to the best you can. And there is also meaning-focused coping, the efforts to make sense of the stressful events. Okay? Why I'm dealing with exams all the time? Because I want to graduate. And what shall I do after graduate? I go to another school. Why keep on learning? Because I'll become more qualified when I go to the job market. Okay? Well, life is meaningful in such a way. And this is for all of students. We go to arts schooling to prepare ourselves for the joyful moment of landing on a job. Okay?